Oh!
Don't die.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so my cousin Ethan is a character. You would know this the second you meet him. In high school, he was a soccer player, so he had some rock and flow going on. His hair is probably as long as mine is, so like down to here. And because of his long hair, we had quite a few nicknames for him. The long hair named him, or got him the nickname Shaggy, like from Scooby-Doo, even though Shaggy doesn't have that long hair, but whatever. We called him Shaggy. And then we also called him Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh because he was kind of lazy and he liked to sleep a lot. And their names both started with E, so we thought it made sense. We also would just call him E because that seemed so much cooler than saying Ethan all the time. And he was a cool guy, so like he should have a cool nickname, right? Speaking of the cool factor, Ethan was a ladies' man. He never really had a steady girlfriend, but he had a lot of friends that were girls, so we just like teased him all the time. He would joke that you could have up to 6 girlfriends at a time, one for every day of the week and then one day for yourself. It's like his catchphrase. He's a notorious jokester. One Thanksgiving, my grandma was sending out the desserts, and I don't know about your guys' family, but we have like a huge smorgasbord when it's dessert time. We have pumpkin pie, apple pie, pecan pie, pumpkin bread, whipped cream, ice cream, cranberry bread, candy, like M&Ms and like an assorted tray and like nuts and it's a lot. So anyhow, Ethan's there, mouth watering, and he cuts himself a large piece of pumpkin pie and like plates it up and he's about to take a bite and my Uncle Craig comes over and he's like, did Grandma say it was time? And Ethan's like, oh shoot, what am I gonna do? So he takes a can of whipped cream and covers the entire pie and the entire plate. So it's a big heaping mound of whipped cream. And he says, there, it's gone. And then he runs downstairs so he can eat it before Grandma like unleashes her wrath on him. Yeah, I love my cousin Ethan. He just died in June, kind of unexpectedly, and without him, life's been different, and especially the holidays. And, you know, it just makes you think, what is it like to lose someone that you love? Now, imagine you're in this story from Ruth that we just heard. Naomi, Orpah, and Ruth have all lost someone very important to them. They've all lost their husbands around the same time, and this is tragic. So we're gonna draw a picture of tragedy. We've got Naomi. She married her husband, and they had 2 boys.
I like
These
mustaches.
Yeah, they're mustaches. Thank you for noticing. And they got married to Orpah and Ruth. Yay, they're one big happy, happy family. And then death strikes.
Oh.
And then we're just left with Naomi, Ruth, and Orpah. So this is obviously a tragic thing to happen. Like, it'd be tragic today if you and your sister-in-law and your mother-in-law all had your husband just die. But think of what it meant for these women in biblical times. These women are now utterly powerless. They have no husbands to watch out for them, provide them homes, protect them. Naomi knows this, and she turns to her daughters-in-law and says, go home. She has nothing to offer them. She doesn't have any more sons for them to marry. Even if she did get remarried and have another son, like, they'd have to wait forever, and that'd just be weird. Yeah, like, oh, let me just... Yeah, no, we're not gonna get into that.
You should change your diapers. Now you're my husband.
Super weird.
Exactly, yeah, just awkward. So
Things should be hyperbolic.
right.
God, I hope so.
But anyhow, she tells them to go back to their homes, which is familiar to them, where they could potentially find a new husband, you know, and have a good life, live happily again. So Orpah hears this, and she's like, you know what, Naomi, you're right. I'm gonna do that. That sounds like a great idea. So they're at this pathway. And Orpah's like, yep, I'm going home. 'Cause that's familiar. That's great. I'm not going to this new crazy Israel place where I don't know anyone and they don't know me and I don't speak their language. But what does Ruth do? She doesn't say, okay, Naomi, you're right. I'm going to go home and live happily ever after and forget about you and my old life. You know, she doesn't. She does quite the opposite. She pledges to stay with Naomi wherever she goes. She says, for wherever you go, I will go, and wherever you live, I will live. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. What an incredible thing for Ruth to say. She doesn't care that Naomi has nothing to offer her, yet she still chooses to be with her. Naomi's not from Moab, where Ruth is from, so staying with her makes her a foreigner, and she still chooses to do it. So this is like moving to a completely different country and not knowing anything about that country. It's not like you're going to Spain and you've had Spanish class so you can like say your name and order McDonald's. No, you don't know anything. So just think how hard that transition could be. What is it like to be an outsider? I think we've all experienced what it's like to be an outsider at one point or another. Maybe your family moved towns and you need to start at a new school, or you decided to join the swim team, but everybody else on the swim team has been there for 2 years, so you're like the awkward duck swimming in the water. Maybe you come to church and you're the only person there under 50. That's, it's always uncomfortable. So what do you do? So here we have some beautiful glasses watching all these people party, yay, because they have friends and they're not alone. They're not awkward outsiders, but you're this awkward pair of glasses just watching everyone in the corner because you're different. So, what do? Do you sit in the corner and hope no one notices you? Do you hide in the back? Just kind of watch everyone and kind of get the gist of what's going on before you put yourself out there so you know how to act? Or do you just walk in, be yourself, act boldly, start introducing yourself to everyone, and just like go on like everything is normal? I think most of us probably would do some combination of option 1 or 2. Maybe you're number 3, maybe you're super outgoing, but I think most of us would be 1 or 2. Ruth is number 3. She acted boldly. Her decision to stay with Naomi is not what I think the average person would have done. I mean, it's not what Orpah did. And what do you think? Do you think you'd be more of a Ruth or an Orpah? Ruth's faith and love for Naomi is kind of similar to God's love for us, right? He will never leave us, just like she pledges she will never leave Naomi. So it's kind of interesting to read this story after last week. We just heard about all these judges, and they're mighty and powerful, and they got long hair, and they can do cool things, and, rest under a palm tree and grant or good advice, So why do we care about these widowed women that are going to live in poverty and have nothing? They're nobodies. They're outsiders, or at least Ruth is. But that's kind of the point. God's love is for everyone, no matter who you are, even if you're not one of his people. Like Ruth, she is not a Hebrew, but God's love is still for her. Oops, sorry, my cross is crooked.
It's artistic.
It's abstract. And a heart, because it's almost Valentine's Day. Okay. So, what would it be like for us to put our trust in God the way Ruth puts her trust in God? I don't know about you guys, but I often find myself putting my trust in a lot of things besides God. Like, I don't know, the cell phone I carry everywhere with the internet, my friends and family, the news, just lots of things that aren't God. But I think it's important for all of us to stop, take a moment, and remember that God will always be with us, and we can put our trust in Him, because He will be there, whether we're an outsider or an insider, whether we belong or whether we don't.